Hello guys, probably my first voice video I've ever made, but I wanted to explore a few concepts that I felt like were easier to explain this way. By the way, sorry for the audio quality, I don't have a very good mic, so yeah, bear with me. Some of what I'm going to talk about might be obvious for many of you, but I imagine it won't be the same for everyone, and it certainly wasn't for me until very recently. The things I want to talk about are mainly Kai's 6K, right? This button. And the reason is because I think this button can really help with pressuring your opponent, and it can help you to basically force this strike throw mix up. Because as you can see, you can easily throw people after 6K. First of all, Pushback is really important here. If you didn't see Clayton's video on Pushback, I will leave the link in the description below, but in short, Pushback in this game is different depending on how your opponent blocks, and I'm not really talking about IB or FD here, but I'm talking about standing block and crouching block. So, a few quick examples. And why is that a big deal? Well, I imagine there are several reasons, but the one I want to focus on right now is basically what happens if my opponent tries to poke me in this situation with a standing block. Yeah, this is what happens. So let's try to do this with a crouching stance. And I get a counter. I've showed in my previous video that this counter can give you some pretty big damage in the corner, and mid-screen you can force some nasty situations on your opponent, especially if you have meter. So if your opponent crouch blocks and tries to poke you, this is a perfect situation for you, but this would probably happen once or twice at most, and then people usually start to block. Basically, you have to show them it's bad idea to poke you after 6K, especially if they crouch block you. Now, there are at least two things that could happen after that. Either your opponent starts to stand block, maybe using FD, or maybe he continues to crouch block and you gotta deal with it. Let's try to explore both of these situations and what is your potential answer to both of them. Let's start with a situation where your opponent decides to stand block, and this is what happens. So as you can imagine, there's a very simple answer to that. You can do this, or you can do this. Personally, I think that both options are perfectly fine, depending on what you want to do. Like, maybe you want to put your opponent in the corner, or maybe you want to go for a knockdown fireball setup, but the most important thing here is once you do that enough times, you basically show that you know how to deal with this situation, and the other guy just has to respect that with crouch block. Because generally it doesn't matter if people try to poke you with 5k, 2k, whatever, you're still gonna win this unless they do, like, I don't know, DP or something. Now remember I said there were two things the guy can do if he doesn't want to eat close/counter hit. The second one is just crouch blocking, and that is basically what we've accomplished right now. Your opponent starts to crouch block, he doesn't try to counter poke you because he already knows that you can counter hit him with close slash. And now is the time where you really have to think about your block strings, because at this point, the safest option for the other guy is to just patiently crouch block after your 6k, and if you don't know what options you have to open his defense, you're probably going to lose your turn or put yourself in a disadvantage. I know it happened to me many times, and this is exactly the reason why I decided to make this video in the first place. So, as the last part of this video, I wanted to show you guys some possible options Kai can do once he conditioned his opponent patiently block after 6k.